Absolutely. Well, no one likes getting a call from a debt collector, but one local company is getting called out for allegations of threatening phone calls.
Yeah, and we have the tape to prove it. CBS 2 investigative reporter David Goldstein has the story.
Can I just talk to you about your business?
We had some questions for this Van Nuys man who covered up his face and didn't want to answer.
People are claiming threats and intimidation on the part of some of your employees, sir. Can you just address that with me?
Even though David Hynes didn't talk,
send me an email and I'll respond to it.
some of his employees who worked in this Van Nuys office that we videotaped with a hidden camera have no problem speaking their minds.
We're going to have your dog arrested, we're going to shoot him out, we're going to eat him.
That's what Tammy Henshaw of St. Louis heard on the phone. When her 30-year-old daughter Angela died last May, she couldn't afford to pay the funeral bill. Rumson, Bolling and Associates, a company connected to Hynes, was hired to collect what she owed.
They told me that they was going to dig my daughter up and hang her by a tree.
That's when she started recording the messages, which even included a death threat.
Are you going to pay this bill or not, or I might have to do you?
Very abusive, very ugly sort of tone to his voice.
Cynthia Liu of South Pasadena had a similar experience last year for a debt that wasn't even hers.
He said, you have 2 hours to, find the money. I can have a sheriff over at your house, lickety-split.
Cynthia's calls came from a company called Commercial Investigations Incorporated. We researched and found Commercial Investigations is run by the same person as Rumson Bolling, David Hynes. The Better Business Bureau says they've received more than 600 complaints about Hynes' companies, not only consumers, but businesses.
I feel like they screwed us.
Carolyn Minium of Pacific Palisades has owned Palisades Electric for 26 years. Last spring, she hired Rumson Bolling to collect some missed payments and claims she never saw a dime.
Our clients paid them to give us money, which we never got.
But the company claims they did pay her some money. However, she says she lost all 20 clients that Rumson Bolling contacted because of threatening calls.
They start to threaten them with sheriffs and police and watching out your window.
Bill collectors cannot harass you.
Lloyd Dix is an attorney and member of a debt collection trade organization. He says federal law prohibits threats, intimidation, and calls late at night or early morning.
They are entitled to ask you for the money and ask you to pay the bill, but they can't take any actions which would cause you distress.
You got 600 complaints with the Better Business Bureau.
Hynes didn't want to talk and even tried to cover up the camera when we tried to question him.
Why don't you respond now, sir?
His attorney later emailed to say complaints against collection agencies are common. My client has a zero-tolerance policy for telephone hostility of any kind. And he admitted some personnel had to be terminated for their behavior. But some states are cracking down. In Minnesota, the Department of Commerce revoked Rumson Bolling's license in part because of false, deceptive, or misleading representations.
While other states have taken regulatory action against the company, one thing is certain: they won't lose their license to operate here in California. That's because California did away with the licensing of debt collectors nearly 20 years ago. Right now in the state, the industry is unregulated.
I think they need some real enforcement.
Alex Trueblood is a local consumer attorney. He thinks more regulation is needed.
When a debt collector gets a complaint that goes through an agency and their license is on the line, they're going to think twice about doing that again.
But for now, the industry in California continues to be unregulated. After a reporter in St. Louis aired Tammy's story, Rumson Bolling actually sent her a check for her daughter's funeral expenses. One satisfied customer.
Can you just address that with me?
Hundreds of others who claim Hynes' companies went too far to collect a debt. David Goldstein, CBS 2 News.
Well, you can go to our website, cbsla.com, where we have a complete statement from the company, as well as tips on what debt collectors are not allowed to do.
And we also have a tip line for David Goldstein. You can call 818-655-2442, or you can email us at kcbstvinvestigations@cbs.com.